how's it going, Lego Maniacs? I have a new episode of The Old 52, and in case you haven't seen any of these, I've been fairly inspired by the new 52, which seems to be obsessed over number ones, and that's what everybody seems to be anyway. So I decided to bring some attention to old number ones of past defunct series that don't exist anymore. Actually, that could be almost every series these days. So I'm going to shed some light on some number ones I think deserve to be taken a look at once again. And this week is episode 13. This is week 13. And we are taking a look at Batgirl number 1. Now, for those who've been watching my videos for a while, you realize that I've discussed this comic in the past when I did the Batgirl Cassandra Cain retrospective videos. I did 4 of them. I'm very happy with those videos too. You should check them out if you've never seen them. So since I talked about the entire run of Batgirl Cassandra Cain, I'm going to try my best to kind of just let that go and mainly talk about issue 1. Now, I went back and reread this this afternoon, incidentally. And it is by, let's see, it's by Peterson and Damian Scott. Actually, Scott Peterson and Damian Scott. Now, they were one of the They were one of the teams that worked on the No Man's Land, and Cassandra Cain was one of the characters that popped out of that series. Also, Harley Quinn, the regular universe version of Harley Quinn debuted in that as well. They both got their ongoings, and the Cassandra Cain Batgirl outlived the Harley Quinn ongoing, I think by 30-40 issues or something like that. And it's a little complicated because in No Man's Land, this costume of Batgirl started to show up out of nowhere and started like taking kind of like blocks by blocks for the Batman crew, and it turned out to be Huntress trying to kind of reacquaint herself back with the Bat family. She'd been kind of banned because she kills people. And then Batman told her to take the costume off. She's still not welcome. And this girl, who had saved Commissioner Gordon from assassin David Cain, turned out to be David Cain's daughter, Cassandra Cain, a Chinese-American girl. And she didn't speak, with the exception of maybe a few words, one of them being no. And it's hard to explain. She kind of like eventually became part of the crew, and since she was a wizard at fighting, I mean, she was like, insanely good. I mean, she scared the shit out of Two-Face when she confronted him. She was able to take on David Cain by herself, and Batman was very impressed with her. So, with Barbara Gordon's blessing, she became the new Batgirl. And this was an interesting issue. This was a pretty intriguing character because for the first few issues she didn't speak, and when I bought this, I didn't know if she was ever going to speak because her language portion of her brain was all messed up because she was trained from literally infancy to kill, and David Cain had come up with a way of teaching her how to read body language, so she would know what you're going to do before you do it. Therefore, that made her almost an invincible fighter. And he didn't bother teaching her anything else. That was all. So she didn't learn like English or Chinese or any kind of language, and it just really didn't develop because that's how the brain works when you focus on one. I think he even like. I think it's said that he uses that language portion of her brain to learn body language like that. I'm not sure. That's kind of pseudo comic book science too, probably. But because Deathstroke is supposed to use 90% of his brain, and that's actually not a scientific fact. But he constantly says that, like, it's a superpower. But anyway, the issue opens with a flashback of her being a child in training, and Cain had hired like a whole bunch of thugs to try and kill her in a fight. It was a test. It's the, grab this knife before she beats the shit out of all of you. And of course she just tears them apart. Then we flash forward to the present day, where Cassandra and Barbara are kind of like sparring with sticks here. And Barbara does a pretty good job against her, showing that, she's still a capable fighter even though she is in the wheelchair. Then, let's see, we get some observations from her. She's really fascinated with this new character and who she is and how how they can learn, from her and how they can teach her. And we see her on the streets, beating up guys. Batman as well is there, kind of backing her up. He's checking her out, making sure that she's not like a danger to the whole cause. Barbara tries to get to know her a little bit, and still just has trouble getting through. She's not sure why she can't speak. She hasn't totally figured it out. That's when Batman and Barbara have this scene where they kind of like lay out pretty much what I just told you, where he's learned all about her. And he has this moment where he asks Barbara if she reminds him, does she remind Barbara of anybody? And she goes, what are you talking about? Me. She reminds me of me. And that's one of the things that I thought was really kind of interesting about this relationship, was that Cassandra seemed to understand, and Batman seemed to understand each other very well. Probably, it long been argued by the writers here, and by a lot of fans, that Cassandra and Bruce seem to understand each other better than Bruce with any of his other crew. I mean, even more than Dick and Tim and Alfred. They just seem to have this kind of unspoken knowledge of life, and they just have this weird connection that they can't even articulate themselves, actually. And of course, this scene also features the wonderful moment of Batman asking her to just punch him and just give it everything she has, and let me see what you can do. And she seems a little like out of breath or something like that, and he's going, hey, what's going on? And then he starts coughing, and he realized she had punched him while, I don't know, in between words. She was like even too fast for him. And then we go on to more scenes of her kind of like beating up more thugs, and kind of getting an appreciation of her new role here. See, Cassandra had been on the run. David Cain had trained her to kill, and as an 8-year-old, he sent her on her first mission. She kills some kind of mob boss or goon. Actually, it doesn't matter too much. He was supposed to be some kind of thuggish guy, a lowlife and shit like that. But the second she takes life from him and sees the life leave his eyes, she knows it's wrong, even though she had like only been trained to kill, and that's all she had known. And she just instinctively knew once she killed that it was wrong, and it made her feel bad, and she left David Cain and been on the run for years, and ended up in the hands of Batman and Barbara, who had kind of became her surrogate parents, which is what I know I didn't say. I know I said I'd avoid a lot of talking about this in the series, but they did kind of take those roles in this this series. And there's a wonderful moment of affection here that she gives Batman right here. And is it like daughter father, or is it a little sexual? Because they're not really parent and daughter. So there has been that kind of like discussion here. And of course at the end we see here now this issue deals a lot with storytelling in order to kind of bring across the characters here, mainly because we have a protagonist who doesn't talk, at least not for a few issues, and then they eventually kind of tweak that, which, to be honest, I think was probably good for the long run, because I don't know how long they could have kept a character going on like this. But it's a really different first issue, I gotta say. It's a little awkward in times, because I think this team is kind of getting to know each other and trying to figure out how to tell Cassandra's story in this way. So this isn't, of course, obviously the best issue, but it's a really interesting issue, and I highly do recommend it. I do recommend the entire run of Batgirl, specifically the first, I think, 37 issues, which was the Scott Peterson, Damian Scott run. Oh my God, what a great team, what a great book. When they really got going on this book in a few issues from here, this was just bar none the best action comic that was going on at the time. It was usually my first pull. Yeah, if you can find this in a back issue bin, pick it up. It was part of a trade. It's out of print right now, but I'm sure you can find it somewhere on the internet. The internet's good for that stuff. So anyway, this is episode 13, Batgirl number 1. By the way, I will mention, Batgirl ran 73 issues, and Barbara Gordon just got her first ongoing series ever during the New 52, after being around for like 50 years or something like that. Stephanie Brown's book lasted like 20 issues or something like that, so, ha! Push the button, Lindsay.